Guys, hello and welcome to Skycurser Daily number 69. Today we are going to review what we covered on Skycurser Daily number 67. I guess this is actually Skycurser Daily number 68. Sorry about that. So we're on number 68 for today. But last stream we had a couple of issues with internet connectivity. That was late night Sunday night into Monday. My internet service provider has a habit of doing testing during that time, so sorry about that. I did still continue working. I worked for about 5 to 6 hours that evening, and I got all the operator menu items finished. So I want to make sure I go back and review some of that with you today, but I don't want to spend a ton of time on it because I've got a couple of bugs to fix on level 1, and I've got some scripting to do on level 2. So the bugs are going to take a little bit of time because they're some bugs that are not completely obvious, and it's in terms of the scripting that we have in place. So gonna focus on that, and then we'll move over to level 2 scripting if we're able to. But first, let's go ahead and review the operator menu and just kind of demonstrate what it is that we worked on Sunday. So here we go. Let's fire it up, and we'll wait for the compile window. First compile of the day always takes the longest. So the main thing we worked on, though, while this is firing up here was related to the utilities menu of the operator menu, and it was specifically an entire full factory restore and several other resets. So here it is, and let me just see if there's anything. We finished the auto high score reset functionality the stream before, so that would have been stream 66. And those pieces are in the adjustments menu and this menu, which is the coin bookkeeping menu. If the high score value was changed, the number of plays was changed, then the auto high score reset would need a confirmation, and the operator could then save the value and allow the game to auto reset the high score at a certain point in time after a certain number of plays. Now we're looking at the utilities menu. This is the one that I worked all the way through the other night and fixed it all the way up. So we have clearing credits, coin counts, audit stats, play counts, high scores. This is just a full out reset right here. And then a full factory restore, which is literally just reset all the values in the operator menu to what they were whenever the box showed up. So that's that. It does work. I can definitely prove that. I don't necessarily need to do that right now, though. I don't want to waste a lot of time doing that. So if you guys want, I can walk you through some of that stuff. Otherwise, I think I will just get right into it. Let's start programming. First things first, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I can reproduce the bugs that I'm aware of and just try to envision what the current issue is with it. So I'll do that right now. And the specific bug I'm thinking of, first I can see it right after the first tank that we have, which is an aircraft carrier, this guy right here. Right after this guy gets destroyed, we should see a set of PEBs, but we don't see any. The very next thing we see is the 2 aircraft carriers together, and that is a bug. And then the bug continues as we move down into the city. It gets a little bit worse than it is right now, and instead of a huge wave of PEBs coming in like we have planned, we have only 3 EBPs, and then the set of PEBs that we had expected. Some floating eyeballs here, and then a couple of flies, some more floating eyeballs, and then this is the spot where all the PEBs should be coming in. So that was it right there. So those are 2 bugs that I'm currently aware of, and I'm trying to fix. Other than that, I'll play all the way through here just so we can see level 2. Level 2 doesn't complete, and as soon as the player is finished with level 2, they do go straight to the high score menu, because that's as far as we've got programmed so far.
Mission complete. Mission 1. Down. Go to task.
So that's what we got so far. And that's it. So looks like I got a debug message in here that I could remove. Definitely would be good to remove that. But that would be simple. We'll just do that real quick. Got 2 of them in the same file. Okay, show me the other one. Cool. Alright, those I no longer need. Hey Retro Rusty, how you doing, man? Retro Rusty, man, thanks for the compliment. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we've been working on this this game for a little over a year and a half, since about February 2014, and we've been working on kind of just the general mechanics and the engine of it so far, but we're getting to a point where we're going to be able to move pretty quick. There's 3 of us total. So myself, Brad, and then there's also Chris and Phil. Chris is our sound and art guy, I'm the dev guy, and then Phil is our producer guy. So Phil also deals with our hardware as well. So Phil does a lot of stuff just to get this game to market. So yeah, it's going good, man. So I appreciate the compliments, and thanks for joining the stream today. Alright, so I pointed out the bug that I'm having, and I believe that's in the enemy controller and enemy generator for level 1. And I think the first issue shows itself right here when these do not fire correctly. So I've got to figure out why in the world we would be having this issue right here. Yeah, I am Brad. Yep. Yepper. That's me. So, your name is Retro Rusty. Do you like old school arcade games or old school console games, or what is it that you most enjoy? Are you a dev yourself? Tank 1 counter equal to 0. Group dead equal to false. If Russ, cool man, yeah, awesome. Current counter, tank 1 group dead, true. Group existed, false. Section 1 complete. Equals true if global.room step counter. Okay, I gotta make sure my defaults are all in place as I expect as well. So it looks like I have to go to the base enemy generator, which I think is gonna have its content here. Love to get into games coding. I've Game Maker Studio, but my age is against me. It's never too late to start, man. Never too late to start, or too early. I've got an idea after this game is fully complete, which will take us, a little bit longer. Our goal is to have this complete by February of next year. My goal is to kind of have like a Ludum Dare stream where we do start to finish games from 0 to 48 hours and try to finish the games in as little time as possible and have a high quality game at the end of it. That's going to be tough, but I think we could have some winners in there that could do fairly well. So plus it would be a good learning experience for anybody who's interested, I think, and kind of show people that they can create a quality game very quickly. And I think I might even do it in such a way that I don't in a couple of instances, I won't use Chris or Phil. Chris being the sound and art guy, that would be a little bit difficult, but I just kind of want to prove that it's possible to, as a single developer, just kind of inspire other developers that they can build a game by themselves, even if they don't have a sound guy or an art guy. So, and yeah, and I'm pretty sure, you know, if you're an art guy, you could also do it without having the technical expertise. I think GameMaker partially makes that possible, and I think there are some developers out there who would like to also assist just to get the experience. So, but I think it would be easier, a little bit easier for a developer to get everything else done on their own. All right. Do you stream every day? I stream almost every day. Sometimes I can't be 100% consistent. Of course, I'm married. I have to make sure I'm giving my wife some attention. Also, have a son, and we're about to have another baby any day now. So my hands are going to be tied for a little bit, but. Yeah, I stream as often as I can, and that's almost every night. And I usually start between 8 and 10, so it's not a consistent start time every night. I wish it was, but there's just, you know, some things that are out of my control. So I usually start between 8 and 10, and I go for at least 2 hours. So, and I try to make it as close to every day as possible. So thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. Okay, so my current bug. Let's look at our properties here for the enemy generator object. I need to check these one at a time. I think the tank 1 counter is not going to be obviously in the properties. It's a global variable. I'm in the UK, so it's currently 242. Holy cow, man. Wow, awesome. Well, if I start earlier, that'd be better for you too. So, plus you can always catch us on YouTube. I push all of our videos to YouTube, so I think that command will do it. Yeah, so we're on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And if you want to see any of the videos that I've done, I usually push them as fast as I can. Or the thing about it is they expire here on Twitch, so but the nice thing is they have an export to YouTube functionality, so I try to export them as quick as I can. So sometimes there's a day or two lag, but yeah, I've got the whole library on YouTube up to this point. It's not from the very instant that I started using GameMaker. It's I probably started, I don't know, the beginning of this year sometime, so pretty close to that. Awesome, man. Thanks for the follow. Retro Rusty, welcome to the Griffin Aerotech School of Aviation. Yeah, so I try to push them there as fast as I can. But yeah, most of them are there though, so you can catch anything that you see that you might like. You'll probably be able to dig through the archives and figure out how I did it. Or I can just explain it to you if you want to know. Alright. So I don't know if I like this current counter here. That may be a problem, but I'm more concerned about the items that are here, because I'm feeling like this is not getting hit like that. Awesome, man. That's great. Thank you. I feel like these two, well, let me think for a second. Enemy 3, tank 1. Yeah, this one right here is not getting fired. So that makes me think, let's look at the script story point builder real quick, because that may give some answers as to why this guy right here fires, interestingly enough, but this guy doesn't. And it may just be because my counter here is out of whack. This may just need to be a little bit different than the 3 seconds. But let's go look at the story point builder script first. Alright. Scripts. Controllers, enemies. Multi-level, there's the story point builder. And we're looking at the combined counter. Room step counter greater than or equal to the combined counter. But this is an enemy 3, so there may be something a little bit different about the way this is firing. So let's go look at the script enemy 3 gen helper, which is very complicated. Way more than I wish it was, but there's not a better way I could think to do it. And object enemy 3 helper. Timer. Of course, we're just setting up some items that are related to the object enemy 3 helper. The enemy generator object, the captured story point, the alarm is tied to a specific alarm, and the current enemy counter. Pass in here the current counter instead of working off the alarm current counter. Maybe look at this other script. So I'm passing in here, activated at in seconds, which is here, comes in as argument 0 into the enemy 3 gen helper, and then arg0 appears right here, so that's good. Enemy controller object position point, enemy type helper. I do see, let's see, argument 2 as the position point, which would be this guy. So that should be fine, and then the enemy type string would be, of course, enemy 3. 0, 1, story point helper, and argument 2. But this may be off right here. Interesting. Maybe it somehow gets out of whack. I'm going to try this first to see if I'm kind of wondering if the story point data structure is thrown off for this particular story point, like if it was set to true or if it's still false. Script enemy 3 can generate, of course. Let's go look at that guy. I think that's a helper. Is it? Or is it up here under enemies, multi-level, enemy 3 can generate passing in the enemy generated controller object, the story point helper, and the position point candidate. That's what these are. Enemy gen, story point, position point. And then we check the current alarm of the enemy controller object. We have 2, 4, 5, and 6 laid out for the alarms. The alarm is tied to the alarm 2 alarm is tied, and alarm 4 alarm is tied to argument 2 position point candidate. 450 456. Or the alarm 2 is tied to itself. We don't want that. Okay, so I'm still reading through here. Just debugging for a minute. 2, 5, 6, 4. Okay. 5, 2, 4, 6, 5. Okay. 6 is 2, 4, 5, and 6. Good. Everything looks good there. Nothing that I see that really should be out of whack or crazy. So before I get too crazy with this, I'm going to change the timing on this to 2.5, and I'm also going to look at what current counter is exactly. I do see that I'm setting it to the global room step counter here, but what is it before this? Let's check. So we're going to go back to the base enemy generator and look at the current counter. Current alarm is there. Not worried about the current alarm. 0. Okay, so technically the current counter doesn't even come into play until tank 1 group 1 dead is equal to true, and tank 1 group 1 dead is false by default until it hits this point in time. Let's see, tank 1 group 1 dead is false by default. Good. Tank 1 group 1 existed is false by default. That's interesting. Because I think it makes more sense to have this set to false and then change it to true. And it is set to false by default, but I'm not checking for that right here. Let me do a search for this so that I don't go changing something that I shouldn't, because this may be controlled somewhere else. Whoops. Paste. Okay. Looks like it is. Let's look at the enemy gen helper, which is a script. Did you get all the pixel art for this game at Open Game Art? No, I did not. I do have Open Game Art in the information below the stream, but I did not get it there. I got it from Chris, who is our art guy. He has done all the pixel art by hand, pixel for pixel with Photoshop mainly. So yeah, he's been studying how to do that kind of artwork for a long time. He just started out very painstakingly at first, and he's gotten way quicker and better at it. You can see some of it. You can see like a lot of his progression of the art here. That's the right link. Yeah, that's a lot of our art progression, and he puts it up there as soon as he gets it. He talks a lot about some of the items he's working on as well. So, and he has one person that he commissions to do specific items when he needs to get 1 or 2 people. Awesome, man, thank you. I'll make sure he knows that. He's got one other artist that he commissions periodically to get a couple of pieces done here and there, and they do a really good job. So, and by commission I mean he pays he doesn't pay like something that's like some exorbitant amount. It's like a good friend of his, and well within reason. So yeah, no problem. So it looks like I do set it to true here at story point helper 17 room 1, and I think that this right here is story point helper 17. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So at 17, tank 1 group existed gets set to true, and then we just set it to false here so that we don't run into this again. I think that into this conditional again. I think that's what the point of this was. So tank 1 group 1 dead is true. Current counter now is here. This may fix it, so let's go ahead and test this real quick. It may have just had a problem with the fact that I was trying to activate this at 2.5 seconds and this is activating at 3 seconds. So let's just see what we got here. Because I previously had it set to 3 and 3, and why you think that would work, because I have greater than or equal to there for the step counter. It may have been missing for some reason.
Skycurser. Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
So that did not work. So how did I get into programming in Game Maker Studio? I actually got into programming a while back, specifically web programming and building software on the web. Started that back in 2005, so it's been a while now. And not too long ago, really right before I started, right before our project started in February 2014, I picked it up like literally right around that time. And it's very similar. GML, as you're familiar, is very similar to JavaScript in my mind. Some people say it's also similar to Python, and I'm not familiar with Python. I use several other server-side programming languages. And so it was a pretty natural transition for me to use. I just had to understand really how Game Maker did some specific things, like their step events threw me for a loop until I could read enough documentation. So I had to do a lot of initially, I mean, probably for the first month, I was just reading tons and tons of Game Maker documentation, and I still have, you know, like it. I try to program as much as I can until I need to go back to it. There are still some key things like networking that I want to build into this game, specifically so that we can have like global high score lists and stuff like that. But I'll have to read that when I'm ready to come to it. I'm trying to finish what we have first. So, yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. Can you program with me? You two have a licensed professional edition of GMS. So you're asking if you can work on the team? Is that what you're asking, X Leopold? I think that's what you're asking. So up to this point, X Leopold, I haven't gotten a chance to open it up to other devs yet. It's definitely on my list. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work. I mean, of course I could use, version control with like get or something like that, but I'm not exactly sure how that works. I know the three of us have, we've started like Skycurser LLC together, and I'm pretty sure it gets a little bit weird if you have somebody working for free on your project, even if they've volunteered to. It's like there's some weird stuff that the business then has to do. So I'll have to look into that. But I think that's what you're asking. I haven't seen any more responses yet, but if you're interested, I can definitely make an inquiry and figure out what we'd have to do to get that rolling. But I would also have to see some work that you've done already, and just get an idea of what it is that you can do so far. So we can make sure it'd be a good fit. Alright, so my change didn't allow that to fire properly. That's a little bit odd to me. Feeling like this. So I'm in the step event here. Let me look at this for a minute. SPH equals 0. Okay, all we're doing here is controlling certain alarms and story points. This is interesting. Story point helper equals 0 inside of base enemy generator? That seems like a problem to me. Also, combined counter I think is what I need to use instead of current counter, because combined counter takes into account the current counter, the new current counter, and the new current counter 2, and the audio buffer, which should be compatible with this point of the game. So current counter is fine for it to be right here, but I think this should turn into combined counter. I'm interested to see why story point helper is 0 right here. I need to look at the step or the create event. Story point helper is 0 here. I think this could be throwing off how this is working. If I'm setting story point helper here every single step, that seems not right. I'm pretty sure I'm incrementing the story point helper inside of script enemy 3 can generate, or no, I'm incrementing it right here inside of story point builder, and using argument 1, which is the enemy controller object, which is this guy. So I'm pretty sure we've got a bug on our, unless we're not inheriting this event, but we are inheriting the event, which means I think this is a bug. So I'm interested to remove that, and interested to take this and put it here, combined counter, and put it here for new current counter. I think I need to make sure that all my counters initially it's our so we are Skycurser LLC doing business as Griffin Aerotech, but Griffin Aerotech is also sort of a fictional company inside of the game. It goes along with the storyline. The storyline is so that the information I just put there, that's real. That is like legit company information, our company information. But Griffin Aerotech is kind of like the fictional company of Guy Griffin's father. So the storyline is that Guy Griffin is the last human on planet Earth, and he is actually trying to wipe out the mutant infestation on planet Earth so it doesn't go to another solar system or different planets. But his father was was the guy who founded Griffin Aerotech, and so The Griffin Aerotech basically is just, he's like you know, high level researcher into like aerospace engineering. So it's just kind of like the background, yeah. So I like the combined counter there, but I was trying to check the current counter, make sure that's set to 0, which it is. The new current counter is 0, the new current counter 2 is 0. That's perfect, because look here in the step we have these three all equaling the combined counter, plus the audio buffer, which would be the fourth thing. And the audio buffer should start out at 0, I believe. Oh, it starts out at 1.5 seconds, so that's perfectly fine. We don't want anything really to start counting until it hits 1.5 seconds. So combined counter is there. I'm wondering if I have to change any other items here. Yes, there's one right there. It's fine that we're setting these other values inside of that conditional. There's one right there. Counter. I'm pretty sure I'm setting combined counter to 0. Oh, current counter to 0. Yeah, new current counter to 0. So when I'm just using combined counter, I can just use the same thing over and over instead of having to vary exactly what it is that I'm using. I feel like I seem to remember I did it. So there was this weird thing that happened where I had an issue. I had this exact same issue, and I addressed it, and then I had to switch branches, and then I started working off that branch for a long time, and so I could either go back and try to look at the changes on the branch that I had, which is really hard to do with Git and GameMaker, or I could just try to discover what the bug was again and fix it. And I feel like I remember the bug had something to do with one of these sections of this controller right here getting activated too early, and it didn't make sense why it would cause something up here to fire or not fire properly, but it was. So I'm just trying to go back and review what my variables are here, and I think I'm safely down into this section. I think I can write off these items. Why this is not firing yet, I'm still not sure. I'm still trying to figure it out. But I'm going to continue here looking at my global variables and my properties of this object. So it's kind of a slow troubleshoot, but I knew this was going to be a difficult one. So tank 1, group 2 dead. It's false, and it should be false by default. And then tank 1, group 2 existed. Equal to true. Now I got to make sure I'm following this guy right here, because we don't want this to fire too early. So let's look at him. Tank 1, group 2 existed. Where are you? So group 2 existed right here. And that's at story point 19, which is correct. So this was 17. We determined this is 18 and 19. So that looks correct to me. And then we set it to false again so that we can't accidentally get into this conditional again. Do I work on or at Skycurser full time? No, I don't. I work on it in the evenings and on weekends. So literally in my free time I work on it. It feels like a full-time job, but no, I don't work on it full-time. I work for I'm a software engineer at a good company, so yeah, that's what I do full-time, and this is in my free time. So, and same for the other two guys too. They have one of them runs his own company, and the other one also is a high-level consultant, a marketing consultant at a nice firm as well. So. Alright, tank 1, group 2 dead is equal to true. So we are now able to get into here. The global room step counter greater than or equal to the combined counter. This looks like it's happening to me, however, am I getting enough enemy 4s in here? 1, 2. I've only got, well, I've got 6 story points dedicated to these guys. I'll come back to this in a minute because I feel like this is also an issue. But again, we're trying to get this guy to fire, and I think it has some sort of, it's tied to some sort of other issue down here that I'm trying to discover here. So let's just keep looking here for a minute. Let's see. Section complete is equal to true. Section existed is equal to true. I don't see section existed. Did it start out as section existed true? Yes, it does. So let me just make sure that makes sense. Am I setting section complete anywhere else that would cause this to hit too early? Section 1 complete, but not quite section complete. Section 1 complete is false by default. Set it to true here. I set section 2 to true here. Funny thing is, I don't use these variables, I don't think, unless, I guess there might be a spot in the background controller that I use them, but I'm not sure. I don't see them here. What resolution is the game in? Good question. 320 by 240. This is legit CRT arcade monitor. So I don't know if you've gotten a chance to read much about this in the stream section below, Russ, but we are building this we are building this mainly for the arcade. So that's our main focus, and the reason behind that is because, you know, we grew up with the arcade. We think there's something magical to the arcade, kind of the concept that like arcade builds community. There's not a lot you can do with there's face-to-face interaction, you know, something that you can't fully get with online gaming. A lot of games that are in GMS that use pixel art are in a high resolution. Yeah, they are. I've seen a lot of that too as well. You're right. Yeah, this is a pretty low resolution. It's pretty cool though. It's like on my computer screen it's really small, but when we put it on the CRT monitor, it fills up the entire screen and it looks awesome. Yep. Enemy 4 existed. It's equal to true. Enemy 4 existed is false. I'm pretty sure I set enemy 4 existed here. But let's go ahead and search for this guy and make sure everything looks fine. Go script image and helper. That looks like the right spot for it. And if the story point is 44, then we set it to true. So that's fine. I'm guessing that that's 44 on the story point. And then global room step counter greater than or equal to combined counter plus 17 seconds, and the section complete is equal to true, and section existed is equal to true. I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, we checked section existed is true. I don't know why I did it like that. It's just a way to prevent it from moving forward without everything being in place. Current counters reset to 0, new current counters reset to 0, and then new current counter 2 is set to the global room step counter, which is perfectly fine. Section 1 complete is equal to true. In section, here we do. We do use section 1 and section 2 complete. Section 3 complete is equal to true. Object exists, controller background level 1, and part 2A started is equal to true. So I think that's happening, but I feel like I'm missing a lot of story points here. 2 tanks. Let me just keep looking here. I'm gonna go look at that background controller real quick. Yes, save the changes, because I removed that story point helper being set to 0 each time, which I was a little bit befuddled about. Save changes, code, cancel, and then go to the background controller level 1. Backgrounds level 1. And so I think it's going to be the step event, and I'm looking for part 2 it started. So this is going to be an actual PCB in a cabinet or running on a PC. So if you're asking if it's going to be on ROM, it's not going to be on ROM, but it's basically going to be on a PCB, and it's only going to have a hard drive. It's going to be basically a Linux drive with a binary executable on it that's connected into a JAMA compatible PCB that is also connected to, I think it's, let me see here, I've got it written down here. It's Sanwa buttons, a joystick. It's, and in general, we've had it in a Dynamo cabinet up to this point. So, so yeah, it'll kind of be like a hybrid, honestly, between a PCB and a PC. But I guess you can't really say that Linux is a PC, because PC is kind of a Windows term, but it's basically a PC. So it will only have the game installed on it though, and because it'll be on Linux, we won't have to pay for a Windows licensing fee each time. Yeah, because fortunately GameMaker allows you to export to Linux, so that's nice. Okay, part 2A started is equal to false, and then somewhere in here part 2A started should get set to true, and it does, and then everything else proceeds. Okay, I just wanted to verify that looked correct. Here we're saying line counter 64.5 seconds, enemy counters are all 0, then let the boss get generated. When boss existed equals true, let me see, or equal to false. Make sure he's set to false by default. Level 1. Where you at, level 1? Where you at? Level 1 boss existed. I thought I would see that right here, but I don't see it. Nonetheless, it's got to be here because I just did a playthrough and the boss got generated, so let me see that. Oh, sorry man, no playlist. I'm not quite sure how a lot of people get away with the playlist. The playlist is mainly off of YouTube. I'll play any YouTube. Here, let me see if I can find the actual like royalty-free music that you don't have to worry about. I don't even know if it's publicly available unless you have a YouTube channel. I wonder if I can log out of YouTube real quick and then try accessing this page. Yeah, you have to sign in at the very least. So that's where I'll pull from. If you got something for there, I should basically just pull up. I should basically just make that the command that gets added. So let me just do that real quick. And So I go off the free music playlist if you're wondering on there. Yeah. Let's see what else here. It's all good, Liam does gaming. No worries, yo. See if I got a playlist. There it is. Alright, level 1 boss existed equals true. Skycurser home is equal to true. Boss 1 generate. So that's getting added in the create event. Okay, I just missed it apparently. There it is. Level 1 boss existed. Cool. Okay. And then room step counter, level 1 boss existed. Everything's finished basically. Level complete. Okay, well the one thing that I changed that I haven't tested yet is canceling out the story point being set to 0 in the step event of the base enemy generator object. So let's see if that fixed our issue. If not, there's still something I'm missing.
Skycurser. Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Oh man, so my story point, setting that to removing that, apparently that's messed up all the functionality. So apparently there was something I was doing with the story point in the base enemy generator object by setting it to 0. Man, that is confusing right now. Let me just do some searching on where I've got that set. I mean, this project just gets so big, you just kind of have to do your best to maintain it. So let's see. Of course, we're managing it there. Story point builder. Let me look at this one. Okay, that's fine. Let's just look at this one. Oh, okay. Yeah, in the base, in the enemy generator object, I'm recalling now that we have a data structure that we're building in the create event, which is right here. We've got 92 story points added, and so we're controlling everything based off of, that's right. So it definitely needed to be reset every single step because we're checking like almost literally every single step along the way right here. So we're checking it checks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it checks should I be in this particular step at the moment. So resetting it to 0 and then letting it increment every single check on the story point builder was the best way that I could think of to do it. So good. That's desired functionality. I was wondering for a minute there why it seemed to be superfluous, but then it makes sense again why it's that way. So, these streams are so welcoming. This is my first time in the stream. Yeah, this is Retro Rusty's first time in the stream. Sweet, yeah. Liam Does Gaming, been here pretty new. So, Liam, help me remember what game it is that you're working on. You're creating a GUI right now? So alright, let's see what else here. Okay, so there's just this piece that I'm missing right here, and then what's not happening that I think should be happening is this piece is not hitting correctly. One thing I do want to check is the story point positions for enemy 3. I want to make sure that what I think should be happening on 7 and 8 is what should be happening on 7 and 8. These two numbers right here. So let's check that real quick. Going to be one of these items right here. Not here. Spawn, that's probably going to be there. Yeah, so this is it. So 7 and 8, yes, this is correct. Ah, yeah, Moon Defense. Yeah. So yeah, you said you've got it on Game Jolt, right? Yeah, tight. Man, I need to start a list of the games that everybody's working on who stops by here and just kind of hangs out for a little bit so that we can get exactly where they're at and what it is people are working on, so people can kind of do a little bit of networking to see what and talk to other people about that. I like that. So if you don't mind, Liam, I'm going to add you to a list and then let other people, I'm going to just start a list of games that people are working on and what platform they're using. I'm only going to put it in, yeah, that makes sense. I'm only going to put it in a Evernote file for now, and then I'll add it to one of the commands later on so that anybody can just kind of see some other ones that people are working on. Basically, I'll just include your Twitch name in there so people can just kind of swing by your channel, either swing by your channel or just PM you on Twitch, if that's okay. How does that sound? So let's do a readout. Are you doing this in GMS? I can't remember. And that away, the main thing about that is in that way, though, you know, I'll be able to just kind of refer to them myself if I need to, so that I don't have to keep asking everybody what it is that they're working on and have them repeat it. Yeah, I'll include YouTube. Cool. I'll get that work going and put together here pretty soon, and make sure that we can add to it and keep on connecting people. Really, I mean, I just want to connect everybody and let them be able to network if possible. So, okay. Now, to figure out this issue, 7 and 8 looks like this. The position points here look like they should be doing what I expect them to be doing, but something's missing here. There is a point where 3 enemy 1s, I'm looking for 3 enemy 1s really hit at a certain point, but I don't think this is it. This is the section where 4 enemy 1s hit. There and there. Actually, there is a potential that it could be a section where there's 2 here, because in my story point builder, or the script enemy gen helper, if it's enemy 1, we go to the enemy 1 position helper, and there's a section where 2 and 5A looks legit. 8 and 8. Global position 5. Surprised that I'm sending 2 enemy 1s out right at point 8. Here we go, Game Maker getting a little bit buggy. Game Maker sometimes just does not want to play nice. There we go. Cool, GMS, yeah, I got that, perfect. But then there's a 2 and 5 here with a case of 1. So let me look through here. So this looks probably legit, and then a 3. So this is probably what's firing right off the bat, but it's somehow delaying these guys. Which makes me think there must be something wrong with their alarm or something like that. It's just not getting reset properly. But I've been through that and through that. I mean, gen helper, 3 gen helper, and then collide movement, outside room, fire spawn. Can generate path, get path. The path one. Room level 1. when you start the game after dying, how do you reset all the variables? So you could do that in a couple of different ways. It depends exactly what you're trying to do. So first off, I would probably ask you, what are you trying to reset them to? Are you trying to literally reset them to their defaults? Are you trying to reset them to where they were at a save point in the game? Are you trying to reset them to where they were at a checkpoint, or at the start of the game, or what are you trying to do there? So the default variables, and is the player going all the way back to the beginning? Player going back to the beginning of the game. So you could use, I think Game Maker's got one called Game Restart. Is that what you're looking for? So Game Restart literally basically is like hitting the reset button on your game. And it will basically cause your game to start all the way over. And if you don't want to do that, you can control it in a different way. So Game Restart would literally be the easiest way, but sometimes people don't want to do that. They don't want to send them all the way back to the very beginning of the game, depending on kind of how you're doing your progression of your intro and stuff like that. I use a different method because we don't want to send people back to the Blast City Studio screen every single time a new game is starting. We only want to send them to the menu screen. So the Blast City Studio literally should, if I'm not mistaken, should only show up at the very beginning, very first turn on of the game. Or if the player doesn't have any credits left over. So we do that in a way where we basically do I'm looking for the script, and it is a script reset game. So all of the default game variables are here, and you can just call the default game variables here. Yeah, you can do. Yeah, you can do that. So you can have like other scripts that do resets at a smaller level. So if you die and you just want to reset the health, then you can either destroy the object, which would probably have the health set by default in that object, in the create event of that object, and then just reinstantiate that object, which would have the health, reset to 100. Or you could send, if the player has 0 health, you could, I guess you could theoretically keep the object and not destroy it, and just hit a script like this one, which would do a reset of something in particular, whatever it is that you want to reset. So that's kind of how that would work. That's how I would do that. Cool. Oh man, guys, I am having a hard time figuring out why this is not firing correctly. So these floating eyeballs are correct. Yeah, that's correct. Enemy 3 is correct right here. Interestingly enough, this guy isn't firing either. Passing off the switch to scrap. Alright. I'm passing the story point helper right here to the script enemy 3 gen helper. I think I'm just going to have to follow this path from it, guys. Then I've got the object enemy 3 helper that I'm creating. Helper. And then step is enemy 3 spawn, so we gotta go look at that. Enemy generator object position point, captured story point, alarm tied to current enemy 3 counter. And back to this script enemy 3 gen helper. This could be a problem here. This could be affecting what I expect to be right, but it's not. Gotta look at script enemy 3 can generate first. Interesting. I mean, where am I setting this guy? That's what I'm wondering. For the enemy 3 helper. Because at some point this guy should be set to 1, and I know it's got to be happening. I'm just trying to figure out where. Are we in this file? Yes, there it is. Ranking 7. Story point is fully activated on the object base enemy generator. And 8 is 2. Tied to current enemy 3 counter, captured story point. Got it. 4 would be the alarm that it's tied to. Need to redo the whole thing. What's FNAF? I should probably know that, but I don't know what it is. 4, 2, 5, 5, 6, 6, 2, 2, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. Okay, just making sure. Oh, Five Nights at Freddy's point and click horror survival game. Nice. Oh, really? Interesting. I'll have to check it out. Captured story point. Okay, so there's the story point, enemy 3 path. Look at that one. So this is where we determine whether or not to add the dire pet to it and send it on its path. Oh my gosh, this should be not this difficult. Fresh look, fresh look. Close some things down here. Why is this guy not firing? That's what I want to know. I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 enemy 3s come out before the tank. Well, that is 9 sets. Doing the room editor in GMS. No, I'm not. I've got, I'll do in just a moment. Give me a second. I'm gonna go test this real quick. I'm gonna count how many of these enemy 3s I can see.
Mission 1. Death at dusk.
Okay, here's 1 set, 2 sets, 3 sets, 4 sets, 5 sets, 6 sets, 7 sets.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
4, what is wrong there? I should have... Okay, so let me take a minute to explain. So the room editor, I can go look at a room real quick with you. Room editor is here. Room level 1 is here, so this is level 1 room. The background I've set to black, mainly just so that if for some reason somebody can see behind the screen or the backgrounds that I have up, it's just straight black. But I have these other objects in the room, and this one is a controller for room level 1. This one is the background controller for room level 1. This one is a cloud controller, which I don't even think is being used anymore. It may be being used in meat mode, but I don't have meat mode functional right now. And then an enemy generator object. So I'm doing everything basically with controllers in Game Maker. So literally the background is all scripted out. I've written it all out. I don't use the way that they do backgrounds. I'm basically spawning enemies at certain points in the game. I didn't use the timelines. Game Maker has a concept of timelines, and they have the concept of backgrounds as well. And I chose not to use either one of those because I was running into an issue with when trying to use backgrounds the way they had them, which had something to do with the speed that I could make a background fly by. And if I use a controller concept, and the controller is literally just that, it just controls the flow of things in the game. And so the controlling the background in the controller allows me to get the speed exactly correct on the background that I want, and I can still do layers and everything just the way I need to, and the background repeats if I do it correctly. And yeah, so I've just found that I've got a little bit more control over the level of detail. Yeah, controllers for the win. Yep. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm obviously even missing some story points here with the enemy threes, and I don't even hit this story point. Later on, I don't hit this story point or this story point. Sorry, this or this one. And 3 that maybe hit. I may hit some of these other ones, but I think I'm missing on my enemy threes. So I've got to figure out what's going on there. I should have, and I think I do have these correct right here, but then when I get into 3 and 4, 5 and 3, I'm having some issues. Yeah, sounds good, man. Awesome, dude. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, talk soon. Okay, so we're gonna look at this 3, 6, 9, 12, and then I've got story point 3, 4, 5, and 3. Let's look at that. That should be right here. So 3, 4, 5, and 3 all seem correct. 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's check that.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk. Go!
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I don't have 8 or 9. So it stops at 7. It stops right here and then has a problem. Hello. Has a problem moving forward from this point, specifically with the enemy threes. Enemy 2 came right in. 19, 22, 25, 28. one thing that I definitely wanted to do was spread the enemy trees out just a little bit now that they come in at similar times. I think that could potentially be throwing this off. So we'll say 7, change this to 11, change this to 15. I'll let those guys come in at that time. So from 19 then to 23, 27, 31, and 2 there is fine as well. So let's just try that, see if changing the amount of times they come in works any better.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
6. Oof. Okay, so then that makes me think that there's a problem with the way that I'm marking those story points as true. What did I change here? I don't think I changed anything. Oh, I guess I just changed the numbers. So no, don't save that. I think this would be related to this, no, this right here, where I'm marking these as true. Argument 7 is 0, and I feel like this just isn't getting activated enough based on what I'm seeing. I feel like when I'm adding multiple of them on screen at a time, it's when I'm adding like 3 or 4 on screen at a time, it's throwing this off too far. These are going to disappear right now. No point to keep them. 6. Those are the paths that it could fall on. And I wonder if argument 7 is correct. Captured story point. Look at the graphics for you. So related to that, are you the one who told me about open game art? You might be familiar with it. Also, you could use like graphicriver.net and stuff like that. Pay cheap. He's involved in the game's development in terms of like he's got kind of the overall vision of the game. What he wants to do with it. He's the one that's trying to conceive all the ideas and the storyline and everything related to that. Him and Phil both really. But yeah, as far as straight up development, I'm the one who does just the development. So I get all the assets and I make it all do what it should. So. Yeah, I'm sure it is. People just gave me game assets, I would pump games out quicker. Yeah, dude, it's awesome. But it allows you, it gives you time to do it right though. That's the thing, is like if I was gonna build games by myself without these guys, I wouldn't focus on the artwork. I would make sure the artwork looked really good, but I wouldn't be the one building it. I wouldn't be the one actually creating the artwork or the sound or anything like that. I would just be developing all of it, and I would pay for everything else or get it from like Open Game Art or a couple of other key places. So there's places you can go online to get free, sounds as well. So like there's ways it could be done, but yeah. All right. I'm just gonna do something crazy here, which is -1 on these, because I want to see if that somehow triggers these to complete their story points correctly. Why they're not right now, I'm not sure. I think they might be interfering with each other. I'm just conjecturing right now. Personally, do it yourself because I'm 12 and don't really earn money. It sucks. So, you're 12, dude? For real?
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go! Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow. That is working the way I think it should be working, so I'm not going to mess with that. I can't imagine that this is what's breaking it down here. Got one more idea. But yeah, man, open game art, you should be able to get some of that art for free, as I understand. I haven't gotten a chance to check it out in great detail. Haha, yeah. There will be gore. So much gore. So much gore, you'll be tired of it, or something like that. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. I'm glad you're watching that video. It's a funny video. No, it's in can generate. Here we go. So do something really crazy here. Just trying this.
Mission 1. Death at dusk.
Argument 7. Whoops. So you're talking about like inheritance? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Hold on a second.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Wow, that's very interesting. Very interesting. Arm tattoo. Oh, still getting the hang of it. Yeah. The main thing is if you've got duplicate code, you can either put it in a script or potentially get some inheritance out of it. So yeah, that's just kind of the basic concept of inheritance, the super basic concept. I'm using it in some places, I'll show you, where basically I have so I've got a group of enemy objects right here. Here are my enemy objects in level 1. Here are my enemy objects in level 2, and then I have enemy objects in both levels so far, right? And then I have an object base enemy, which basically is the parent to any of these objects. And you could do some other crazy things if you wanted in here, but this is the most basic way to use it. And in the base enemy object, I have some of the same events that I would have in any of these other ones. And then I have, you know, call outs to scripts inside of these actions for these events, just kind of in the base enemy object. But as far as like, I do a base background for the game where I set some very, very simple values. Everything goes off of it. Specifically, it looks like in level 1. But that is probably a wasteful use of a parent object. I do have a parent object for the obstacles that I have in the game, necro stars and vehicles. There's an object-based vehicle specifically, and this is basically the parent vehicle for all of the potential vehicles that are in this cityscape of level 2. And you know, they call their own scripts inside of their actions and stuff as well, which do a lot of instantiation. I've learned to use Game Maker partially from watching some YouTube tutorials, and then I also did a lot of reading with their documentation. And Game Maker is very similar in my mind to JavaScript, very basic JavaScript. So I have some experience with JavaScript, so it was pretty natural for me to pick up Game Maker. What about you? Oh man. Why? Yeah, Sean Spalding, man. He's on YouTube. Sweet, man. Yeah, I watched a lot of his videos just to get a kickstart, and then I started reading a lot of documentation when I was past a lot of the basics. Oh man. I wonder if my counter is getting messed up for the story point builder. That's a possibility. That could be throwing everything off. Let's go look at that. Switches or nested if statements. I think I like switches a little bit better. Switch statements seem to be a little bit more easy to read. If statements have their place, though, I mean, switch statements are usually very basic, like if, else if statement. If you need something more complex, I usually go with if and if else. But when I know I'm going to have a lot of very simple options, switch case seems to be really good. It seems to be a preference that I generally have. So here's what I'm wondering is if this is getting thrown off, or this could potentially be getting thrown off as well. Isn't it one? Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this could be wrong. I haven't watched Heart Beast. I'll have to check him out. I think what I should probably do I guess here's the thing is I'm calling out to the story point builder for each one of these. And I should be going through each of the story points each time. And so I'm actually going to do that right now. Do some debugging. Yeah, sounds good, man. This could be messing it up too. Five by 5 Rubik's Cube. Sweet. I'm gonna do something crazy just for a minute to do some testing.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
'Well, it just gets too noisy to figure out if that's right or not. wonder if I just do set this to 1 right here and then pull this back in, if I'll have any better feedback this time than I did a minute ago when I tried to set it in the script enemy 3 generate file. You live in Australia, I live in the US. It's awesome that you're 12, dude. That's awesome, man. Wish I was programming when I was 12.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No better feedback. I'm so tired. Ugh. That one more time, sorry about that. Script, enemy game helper. Do we have enemy 3 in here? Just making sure we don't. Good.